Okay, so there are a ton of things I could talk about in this video. In the last video, I just talked kind of about who was impressing after the game, and this one I want to take a deeper dive, right? Like that's why you're watching this channel, because you want to see the stuff that the other people aren't talking about. And there's a name that if you Google it, if you look it up, there are no news stories, but I think this is going to be a developing story going into the Lions' final preseason game. And I think there is one guy that we absolutely need to watch because I think he could be in the new swing tackle. But before I do that, I'm a big fan. I'm just going to admit it. I'm a big fan of PFF grades. I'm especially a big fan of PFF grades when it comes to cornerback play and offensive line play, because they are players that are extremely hard to watch when you're watching the game. Now, I don't know about you when you watch a football game, but for me, when I watch the offense, my eye is drawn to what? The ball. It's drawn to the ball. Unless maybe I'm watching the Dolphins, then my eye is drawn to Tyreek Hill because it's just fun to watch him run, right? But like my eye is drawn to the ball. So I often don't see an offensive lineman and what they're doing unless it's something bad or their name is Giovanni Manu because he just looks like a big oaf out there, right? So we're not going to talk about him too much in this one, but I do want to look at some of those PFF grades both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, but then I want to get into the player that I think has a chance to make this team that wasn't even on the roster a couple of weeks ago. He wasn't even on the roster. So without further ado, let's take a look at this. And I am going to give it away because I'm not going to make you sit here and watch this video for 5 minutes before I tell you who. It is offensive lineman Jamarco Jones. In a few minutes after I get through these PFF scores, I am going to talk to you about his path, how he got to the Lions, a huge opportunity that he wasted a couple of years ago when he was on track to be a starting tackle in the NFL. A starting tackle, and then he has disappeared for 2 years, and he has resurfaced here with the Lions. Other than that, there's not many big surprises here. Hendon Hooker played well. We know that. Tom Kennedy, Mr. Reliable. Isaiah Williams had a great game. Like all these guys, you're thinking to yourselves, like, yeah, they played well. All right, it makes sense. Calhoun, no, I didn't see that too much, but it all makes sense. When you look at the players who didn't play well, that makes sense as well, right? Jake Funk, Kingsley Igakwen. Here's the thing. I'm hearing good things from him out of practice. He's listed as the team's number 2 center right now. Nate Sudfeld, again, did not play well. I mean, he played absolutely terrible. And wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones looks slow again. It doesn't make sense. And then tight end James Mitchell may just be playing himself off this team. I thought about doing another video about a tight end that might make this team over him, but we'll save that for after the next preseason game. When you look at the defensive side of the ball, a lot of these players that came in late, look at linebacker Ben Neiman. All right, like, let's go. This guy is making things happen. Ty Summers is out there looking like a safety that's playing linebacker, but playing really well. It was good to see Pascal with that good grade. What I'm most impressed with on the defensive side of the ball is Khalil Dorsey and Kindle Vildor. That's the back end. That is the back end of our cornerback room. And they are sitting there going against the starters for the Chiefs. Now, don't get me wrong. Amik Robertson down here got burned a couple of times, but Dorsey and Vildor played good football. They held their own against starting caliber wide receivers. It's just so nice to know that that's our depth, not our starters at this moment. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about this man, Jamarco Jones. Okay, Jamarco Jones hasn't had an interesting career. He was drafted in the 5th round after being a first-team All Big Ten left tackle at Ohio State. Also at Ohio State, he started his last 27 games. He was very, very good in college. That's how you become first team All Big Ten in a conference that's known for offensive linemen to be able to play well. That's impressive. So he was drafted by the Seahawks, but he's a left tackle. They had some good left tackles in the late 2000s. So in 2018, 2019, and 2021, he didn't get any snaps in 2020. He just played very limited snaps. Now, here's what I will say for him. From 2018 to 2022, he only played 162 snaps. That's fair. But in those 162 snaps, he gave up exactly 1 pressure. That's remarkable. And that's why he had a pass blocking grade, albeit on a small sample size of 78, 82, 69, and 84. That was his pass blocking grade. Now, when he played last night, or not last night, I don't know why I said last night. It was literally 2 days ago, the game. All right, as I'm recording this. As he played 2 days ago for the Lions, he had a pass block grade of 82.5 and a run block grade of 88.9. Now, in case you're wondering about him, where was he? Where was he in 2023? And that is one of those crazy, crazy things. All right, he signed with, after being drafted by the Seahawks, he signed a 2-year, $5.8 million contract with the Titans. In year 1 of that contract, he was a backup tackle and played 7 snaps. In year 2, he was in line to be the starting tackle. He was vying for a starting tackle position, and many people say he was the leader in the clubhouse to be the starting tackle, and then he was kicked off the team. Why was he kicked off the team? Because he started 2 different fights. And Mike Vrabel, the Titans coach at that time, had an absolute 0 fighting policy. So, suspension for 1, see ya for 2. He kicked him off the team. Dan Campbell does not have that policy. So, who is this guy and what can we get out of him? All right? Now, if you think he's just this ridiculously athletic offensive tackle, you are wrong. In fact, he scored the lowest RAS of 2018 for any offensive tackle. Now, part of this is because of his height and weight. He's very, very low in those. He had a decent 20-yard split, but overall, not good long speed. And when you watch the tape, he's not quick. Like, he's not fleet of foot. What I don't like is the 18 reps on the bench. But the man who he's competing with is Dan Skipper. And Dan Skipper, thank you, ads, did not do much better, right? Like, Dan Skipper would have had a very, very similar score, probably well under 2 if he's not 6'10", right? So if he doesn't have, like, if he's not one of the tallest humans on earth and at 3'10" in that same spot. Speed-wise, about the same. Bench press, 1 different, right? So that's what we're looking at there. So here's my question. The Lions are probably going to have to keep, when you're looking at the offensive line, they're probably going to have their 5 starters. And then the question is, what are they going to do at backup tackle? My guess is that they're going to have to keep 3 backup tackles because Giovanni Manu, they're not going to be comfortable playing in a game yet. Now, Manu did a good job with his pass blocking on 19 pass blocking reps. He had a score of 85.6. He did not do terrible in that. He really didn't in the last game. However, he doesn't look ready. And if he's playing against starting caliber players, it's not going to go well. So, with that being said, Jamarco Jones needs to beat out Colby Sorsdahl or Dan Skipper. That's what he has to do. And in order to do that, I don't think you're looking at the most difficult task on earth. I think they know what they have in Skip. I think they love what they have in Skip. The problem here is when you're looking at the Lions and you're looking at what they've been doing in the preseason, Colby Sorsdahl had good pass blocking chops in this last game. Gave up 0 pressures on 47. He played pretty much the entire game at right tackle. Almost the entire game at right tackle. 47 pass blocking snaps and did not give up 1 pressure. That is impressive. But his run blocking was bad. He still does not have a good anchor. He still is a work in process when it comes to moving defenders. But when you're looking at a tackle, if you're going to need a swing tackle, that's where you need a guy who can be a good run blocker. All right, a good run blocker. And Jamarco Jones had an 88.9. Now, that was only 7 snaps, and it was against the very end of the competition. This is like 4th quarter that he played. All right, Dan Skipper winning at a 60. for PFF. So I'm just sitting here to at least have the conversation and talk to people and say, hey, there's a world where Jamarco Jones makes this team. Maybe he's got his head on straight now. Maybe he's been hitting the gym. But for him to go from I really haven't played any meaningful football for well over a year and come in right away and put up some really good statistical numbers, playing 29 snaps at left tackle, I'm going to go ahead and say, like, that's impressive, and that might be enough to get him to make this team. All right, thank you so much for watching this one. I just wanted to at least talk about that, throw some PFF numbers out there, and we'll see you in the next one.